So if the idea of having to eat 50 hot dogs in under 10 minutes makes you a little nauseous, don't worry, you're not alone. It's not normal. In fact, the body, the stomach, can usually handle a maximum of 1 liter of food. So you're pushing the limits whenever you're trying to stuff 50 hot dogs down in 10 minutes. And so I was really fascinated by this. One, because I never knew that there was a thing called competitive eating. Such a weird thing. I mean, can you imagine introducing yourself? Hey, I'm a professional eater. Anyway, I digress. But so going back to the point, imagine having to do this and your body wanting to shut down. Well, there was actually a young man from Japan. We're going to call him TK. I'll put his real name in the description. I don't want to butcher it. But TK approached this whole competition completely different. So if you go back and you look at the video of the Coney Island hot dog contest, you have all of these big burly guys, and then you have this very small framed individual, TK, who won the championship, like blew away a record, not by stuffing hot dogs all in his mouth and drinking as much water as he possibly could. He actually just focused on one bite at a time. And what he was able to do is he gave his stomach, he gave his body opportunity to be able to digest much quicker because it wasn't trying to digest all of this food all at one time. And I find that to be a very great parallel to what's going on in most recruiting organizations. We are expecting recruiters to just down 50 hot dogs in 10 minutes, but we don't give them the tools. We don't give them the air cover to be able to actually focus on doing something right and finishing something through to perfection because they're constantly moving on to the next hot dog. And what happens? Your body gives out, just like recruiters are experiencing burnout. So how do we get around this and deal with this very significant problem in recruiting? So just like TK, we can actually revolutionize how you're doing recruiting by focusing on one bite at a time. In previous videos, I talked in the first aspect of sprint recruiting is the sprint. It's actually a time box. So imagine going to a department leader that's got 400 open jobs and saying, okay, realistically, over the next 2 weeks, where do I need to focus? What are the most important jobs that I need to get filled for your organization? So that's kind of that first step of what I call the squeeze or the funnel. So that first step, let's say you go from 400 to 40, fantastic. Now I need the client, my hiring partner, I need them to further divide that down. I need them to further prioritize. And that's where I like to use a point system. So imagine you've got the 400, then you come down to 40, and then you go to your client and you say, all right, I am going to take these one bite at a time, but I will get through this entire plate of hot dogs, but I'm going to get through them one bite at a time. I'm going to give you a budget of points, 400 points. I want you to assign a point value to these 40, and I'm going to work them in order. So what that does is a couple of things. One, it forces your hiring partner to be able to further prioritize, and it makes them go through and they actually stop and think, okay, is this one more important than this one? And the beautiful aspect is that they have to make that decision. It's not up to you. What they are doing with this process, going from 400 to 40, now in that 40, here's how I'm going to stack rank them, is that they are defining success for you over that 2-week period. Your job is just to meet that definition of success. And with a point system, you're able to evaluate how well you did sprint over sprint. And what this does is it allows you to be able to go in and say, okay, in sprint 2, I did 80% of my sprint, or I closed 80% of the points, but the last 2 I've only done 50. What's wrong? Now we've got information. So the first step is the sprint. And if you have more questions about how to set up a sprint, you can check it out on a couple of other videos. I'll put a link to them in the description. If you're interested in learning more about the point system, I have an online boot camp at trentcotton.com. It's under products, but I'll put a link in the description. It's an online course that goes through each step of the sprint recruiting process to help you get control of this chaos we call recruiting. Thanks.